Hello everyone, this is Dida Mekici. I'll explain the role of theoretical frameworks and how you can apply them in your research design in this short video. So you always hear theories and theoretical frameworks, and you understand they provide understanding of things through different lenses. They bring in various perspectives to look at the problems, current events, and make your data more meaningful, right? So, how can you apply theoretical frameworks in your research design? So, let's start with the role of theory in your research study. The theoretical framework provides an understanding of theories and concepts about your research topic and locates them in the broader areas of knowledge. Theoretical framework can provide significant guidelines when you are preparing your research design. So, theoretical frameworks provide a lens to examine a topic in detail. And there are many different lenses, such as psychological theories, social theories, teaching and learning theories, and leadership theories, which may be used to define some concepts and make meaning of your research questions, data, or research design in general. So, how to choose a framework? So, as you see here, the first step is actually you can start with the course readings or take a deep dive into the sources in the library database and see what theories are used in your field, especially about the topic you plan to work on or the research problem you are investigating. So, this is done. Then you can prepare a list of the theories you came across. You can sort them out based on their relevance, their appropriateness, whether they are new or old theories. So you can decide how to group them. And also, please pay attention to how these frameworks are applied in different research studies, how they guided research questions and data analysis, right? And lastly, you can ask this question thinking of your research topic before you make a final decision. Does this theoretical framework help me plan my research study and answer my research questions? And then you're done. So for the rest of this presentation, I'll explain how I applied Darla Deerdorf's intercultural competence framework in my dissertation and how it helped me design my research study. Process-oriented intercultural competence framework was the most appropriate framework considering the context and the scope of my study, and you will see how it shaped my study design now. First of all, my purpose was to explore the impact of online English language teaching on the intercultural competence development of peer service ESOL teachers. And as you see here, I did that through the lens of process-oriented framework of Deerdorf. And research questions. As you see, this framework explains intercultural competence development with different components, and each one of them have different subcomponents. For example, for the first component is attitudes, right? And under attitudes, we have some subcomponents like respect, openness, curiosity, discovery, right? Or tolerating ambiguity. So this is my general question I mentioned, exploring the intercultural competence development. And I have 4 sub-questions below that. So my first question is directly related to my first component, which is about openness, right? And my second question is, again, related to this one, but this time it's about tolerating ambiguity. And when we look at the third one, it is about becoming culturally and linguistically aware. And as you see here, awareness is part of this second component. And lastly, the fourth question is about flexibility and empathy. And this is the third component. This is the last one is kind of like external outcome, which is related to effective and appropriate communication. So that's why I didn't include any questions about this, because it was directly related to my general question. So as you see how my research questions came out of this framework, or how it guided my research questions. So research methods too. It also affected the way I collected data because, as you see, all these components are based on process orientation. So I asked my participants to submit their journals after each online tutoring session to be able to see the intercultural competence development process rather than the outcome. So it affected my data collection methods. And after I collected data and presented them in these tables, I grouped them I grouped the results under each research question. And as you remember, each research question was coming from my framework. So in this results section, I kind of made a connection with my framework again. Lastly, when I discussed my findings, I referred back to Deardorff and also the components of the framework to make conclusion. As you see, the highlighted parts are related to or directly coming from Deardorff. So as you see, in almost every section of my dissertation, I kind of found a way to make connections with my theoretical framework, and this made my research design and data analysis more meaningful. It was also very helpful to keep me focused, actually. So before I finish this video, I would like to highlight an important fact, which is almost every framework has limitations. And even though they might be the best that align with the scope of your research, we cannot expect them to fit in all types of research design, right? Or fully explain the problems you're exploring. Sometimes they may not help answer your questions, or they may require further investigation to explain your data. This is actually when people decide to come up with new frameworks. Sometimes they come up with totally new framework, or sometimes build on the existing ones. And this might be the scope of another video, but I hope I was helpful to clarify how to decide on a framework and use it in your research study. Thanks for listening, and good luck everyone.